You're going to love this next story, also produced by Zach, about Mississippi's 2021 Tree Farmer of the Year. But the gentleman you're about to meet is more than just a tree farmer. He's a conservationist as well in every way possible. Meet Judd Brooke.
I'm Judd Brooke. I'm a tree farmer in Hancock County, Mississippi. We're standing on a piece of property known as Brookwood. It's in the very northern end of Hancock County. And we started purchasing this land back in 1952 when I was about 4 years old, and continued purchasing it through the years. When we bought the first land, trees were not the objective. My dad loved quail hunting, had bird dogs, and we actually were living in New Orleans, and we wanted a recreation place and a place to hunt. So the first 440 acres was done for that reason. Kept adding a little bit of acreage that joined it, and by the mid-50s, Dad met a forester who convinced Dad that he should be planting trees. We started out with slash pine. At some point in time, I realized that the longleaf was a superior tree, and we realized we had a lot of natural regeneration of longleaf pines, and just felt like it was the way to go in this particular area. The real interesting thing about this particular place is it is an example of the restoration of the longleaf pine oak ecosystem. We're a little more than just a tree farm, and tree farm is important, but we look at all aspects of tree farm, the wood, the water, the recreation, and the wildlife. And we've chosen to utilize the longleaf pine as the major tree on this particular tree farm.
To me, longleaf is the primary southern yellow pine. It was here in South Mississippi when Europeans got here. It's when we think of the piney woods, when Europeans got here, that's what was here. It was longleaf pine. So I tend to like things that were here naturally. Some of the challenges I think Judd faces, you've got a lot of cogon grass, invasive species. So we will be managing that. We will not be controlling cogon grass.
Judd has worked intensively trying to control it. We don't have herbicides that effectively control it, especially not in one application, so it takes multiple applications. The problem with some of these herbicides that we use is they're not cogon grass specific, so they're going to kill anything that we spray, but that's okay in a lot of cases because cogon grass is allelopathic, which means that it inhibits other plants from either germinating or growing. It also becomes a monoculture, and there's very little, if no, wildlife value for cogon grass, so we've got to eradicate it if we're going to maintain the ecosystem and keep it intact.
So that's one of the challenges. Another one is to make sure he has an active burn program. He's a certified burn manager, so he's in control of his burn program, but getting that established and maintained, not only dormant season burns, which is historically what's been done, but he's also started a transition into what we call growing season burns, which are during the summer part of the year. So this burning at 2 or 3 year interval, it helps maintain this diverse herbaceous understory. We're not gonna get rid of the woody material, the woody brush that's around here. What it does, it knocks it back and allows that herbaceous vegetation, the grasses and the forbs, allow those to dominate the site.
We definitely have the economic consideration of growing the trees. That's very important, and you need that for sustainability of being able to afford a block of land like this. So the trees are important. We've been hit really hard by hurricanes, first in '69, Elena in '85, and then of course Katrina, the eye of Katrina came right over here. I actually lost about 65% of my merchantable timber when Katrina came through here. But it did not do away with the basics of the longleaf ecosystem. We're managing not only for timber on this place, but for our recreation, wildlife. We've got a couple of beautiful creeks that flow into the Jordan River and therefore into Bay St. Louis. So I'm very conscious of stream management zones and best practices associated with stream management zones to cut down on any erosion that might end up being sediment in Bay St. Louis. We do a lot of recreation. We hunt, and a lot of kids hunt. We've had hunter education courses until such time as they started doing all on the computer.
A lot of these kids have never been in the outdoors, and a lot of inner city kids that have never been exposed to the outdoors and the wildlife. And there's been an untold number of youth that have been on this property that either caught their first fish or harvested their first deer. And if we can teach these kids as to what's going on and why this environment and this ecosystem is so important, we hopefully can perpetuate it in the future.
Most of us that have put together a block of land like this want to be good stewards of the land. In my case, I would sure hate to see development come in and take this. It's a prime example of the longleaf ecosystem, and it needs to be preserved. I hope I'm able to do that, and I'm looking at various methods to ensure that that does happen.
When I first started working here, Ms. Brooke was still living, Judd's mother. This place was impeccable already. And her attitude, when she first met me, she said, "So, you're going to make a show place out of my property?" And I said, "No, ma'am, you got a show place. I'm just going to help tweak it a little bit." And they, not only Judd was raised by conservationists, and they raised him up to love the land, and it shows.
I've been very blessed to have a couple of entities really help with it. One is the Fish and Wildlife Service Partners Program, and a lot of the longleaf was reestablished through that particular program. Also, NRCS has a longleaf pine initiative that's been very, very helpful both at establishing the longleaf and in maintaining it because of the programs that they have that help promote prescribed fire. It's a major effort, a major expense, and something that really needs to happen with the longleaf ecosystem. So I owe a lot to both NRCS and the Fish and Wildlife Service Partners Program.
Quite a story. Thank you, Zach. And congratulations once again to Mr. Brooke, the 2021 Tree Farmer of the Year.